Judge?
Hello, friends. How can I help?
Yeah, so I was playing, and, like, he has a Thalia out, and I played a lightning bolt against his creature last turn, but I didn't pay the one extra for Thalia.
Yeah.
And we didn't catch it until the next turn after.
And he was clearly keeping up a counter spell so that I couldn't play anything on my next turn because I knew he was just going to counter spell it.
No, like
Okay. So I'm gonna give both of you an opportunity to speak. You call judges, or who called judge?
We both called.
Yeah,
we both called judge.
We noticed that there was a problem, so we called the judge.
Okay.
We couldn't agree on what to do.
Okay, so how about you give me your side of the story, and if there's any objections or anything that you'd like to change,
okay.
well, I'll give you an opportunity to speak afterwards.
So this person clearly was trying to bluff cards in their hand, and I don't know how I missed that they didn't pay the extra Thalia tax, but they were keeping up counter spells, just enough mana so that I couldn't cast anything on my turn, and even if they don't have anything in their hand, the fact that they were keeping the mana up and they had cards is all that really matters, because obviously they are playing a deck that has a bunch of counter spells in it. So they're trying to, beat me just because they can.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
Well, I mean, like, other than the fact that, like, his unfounded accusations against why I, did, when I just obviously just forgot about the Thalia, the facts of the case are, like, in essence, correct.
And what term was Thalia played on?
We'll say it was played on curve, on turn 2.
On turn 2, and this is turn...
So like, I tried to lightning bolt at end of turn on his turn 2.
Okay.
And then it's my end of turn now is what I'm noticing.
Okay, so... And you didn't play anything on your turn 1 or 2 turn the previous turn?
No, I just played mine.
Okay. So it sounds like they missed paying the one for lightning bolts. Didn't pay for it, and then we passed, and then they would have untapped and drawn a card.
But I could have responded to counter the lightning bolt if I had known that if they had paid the proper amount, so they were tapped out, because then I could have responded.
And you just forgot about the Thalia tax?
Yeah, that's right. Like, I hadn't played with or against Thalia in a while, so I didn't remember to pay extra.
It just fundamentally changes how I would play my turn.
Sure, and I understand that could be a factor in your decision making. That being said, it sounds like we're a turn cycle or two past that point, so I don't think there's much that I can do to add to this situation without being more detrimental to the situation. So I think my ruling is going to be both players just need to be a little bit more vigilant of each other's cards and try to avoid this situation in the future. Do you have any comments, concerns?
No.
All right, so that's the ruling.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. Number one, I would have kind of liked to see a little bit more investigation into why I, didn't pay the Thalia. Basically the way I kind of looked at it is you asked, did you forget about it? And I was like, yup. And then that was like kind of the end of it. Now, if I was a cheater, I think pretty much literally any cheater in the world could have come up with that, excuse as their front line of defense, right? Like, did you do it on purpose? No. And so, I really would have probably liked to see a little bit more digging into. So let's talk a little bit, because I think a lot of the times.
Let me. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me ask this: if the Thalia was played on turn 2 and you killed it on the end of turn 2, what format are we playing that there might be a counter spell?
Modern.
Pact of negation.
I could have Force of Will in my hand.
Doesn't Thalia stop your own pact?
So if you had Force of Negation, for example, you would not be able to have Force of Negation back up if they had something that they wanted to do.
Right, you just would
But
have
you
lost.
still have to pay the Thalia tax on it.
Right.
So on turn, if he tapped out on turn 2, there is literally no counterpart.
For the hypothetical, they could have a simian spirit guide or something in hand.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
All right.
I have a Simian Spirit Guide and a Force of Will and another blue card.
Sure,
I will admit, that kind of terminated the investigation.
You know,
for cheating.
that's been legacy also. Like
Yeah.
Thalia, Force of Will, Lightning Bolt, those are all legacy cards.
Sure, but like, why I was asking like what turn it was, like, even if he did have Thalia, like they wouldn't have been able to pay the Force Will unless they had the Simian Spirit Guide.
Yeah.
Which I would have. I'd probably taken an opportunity to just look at hands, but
Yeah.
like I guess, well, my point of like you play Thalia, you Lightning Bolt, and then we would have untapped. Like you didn't use that extra mana for anything, so to me it just seemed like an honest mistake that you couldn't have capitalized upon.
Yeah. Reasonable. All right. Any other stuff before we go to next?
The Thalia player said that his line of play would have changed if you would have paid the 1. Would the Thalia player have like a Force Spike or something like that in hand? Like counter the spell unless you pay 1.
It's like we can't see what cards he has in his hand, but it could be anything.
Right.
You know, if you didn't look, that information could literally be like.
And
I didn't know if that because that stuck out to me.
I mean, that is. Yeah. That in itself could have been a bluff, being like I could have done other things.
Well, I assume at that point you were talking away from the table. Is from my understanding. I didn't know if you pulled them away at that time. The garage, if the garage was down.
I don't think so. I think in that situation, like kind of like having both players say their side at the table.
Well, and the thing is that I might be bluffing anyways, that I have something.
Right.
But if you were away from the table, the judge would be able to look at it and then see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the judge could also just be like, "Can I see your hand?"
Yeah,
and,
we
and as
don't-
long as they respond with "Okay," and it's not committal one way or the other, they're not.
Yeah, I was
revealing
going to say,
anything.
that's a really key.
You got to be real careful
You
on
gotta
how
be
you
real careful when
respond.
you're looking at their hand. I also am not real keen on players using judges to sell a bluff.
Oh yeah, no, I
I've
agree.
had that.
Oh yeah,
I've had that.
I think that comes down to making sure that you talk to them away from the table.
yeah.
Well, that's fair.
As a judge, I personally believe very firmly in the fog of war for those of you who play League of Legends or whatever else. If this player is missing certain knowledge, I want to be missing that knowledge because I want to be able to investigate as the other player would as well. If I have more knowledge, I don't know how to. I'm wording it all wrong. I'm sorry.
I think you may need the knowledge to investigate, but you need to be very clear that you're not giving it to not giving hidden information to the other player.
You need to make sure you don't grab the hand, smirk, and go, "Oh, okay."
You don't silently read out the cards or like.
And maybe even explicitly go,
Giving
I
away
am not
information
I'm
because
not
now I
giving
have
a signal about what I see in the hand. I just need to see your hand,
Yeah.
and you do that before you look at the hand,
Right.
and then just go, okay, can I see your
Yeah,
hand?
I always spend maybe like 5-6 seconds just looking at the hand always, because if it's like 4 planes, if I go, oh, okay, like that's gonna be like,
Yep.
oh, there's more simple cards in their hand.
All right. Okay. So who's next?